All right, I'm going to show you what I made, okay? This is just this is my version of curry chicken. You can make it the way your grandmama taught you, because my grandmama didn't make curry chicken. She used salt, pepper, and onion and garlic powder, and that's about the only spices that were in her closet except for cinnamon and nutmeg. So anyways, we have our white rice, jasmine rice. Always wash your rice 2 times, maybe 3. Don't wash it any more than that. That's what I've been doing all these years. And I've just been rinsing the nutrients away. 3 times is good enough. So I was going to use my trusty old crock pot. Come to realize that that thing needs to go in the garbage, or at least buy a new insert. But they're only $13 at Walmart's. So I need to replace it because it had pressure cracks in it. So I made a whole video this morning getting ready for the day, and then I realized I can't use the crock pot, so use my trusty old pan. Okay, so these are boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Buy the bone, buy meat with the bone in it, or at least with the skin on, because that's where you get all the good flavor. We are not using butter. Usually I would use butter, but I'm trying to cut back a little bit just because. So we used olive oil, and what I do is I mix all the spices and the olive oil in the pan first. You can mix the spices in the pan, warm them up a little bit for 2-3 minutes, and then add your olive oil, and it just makes it easier. Then you get an even coat on your chicken. Then we used a tablespoon of soy sauce. We used salt, which I'm not going to show you, about a teaspoon of black pepper. Again, this is all to taste, so if you don't like it spicy and you don't like it hot, then just, at least add a half a teaspoon of everything. That's all I'm going to say about that. And then, and I added a tablespoon of onion powder. I like a lot of onion powder. I added probably 2 teaspoons of turmeric powder. If you can use the real turmeric, grated turmeric root, then I advise you to do that. I used about a teaspoon of ginger. I mean, you can use a tablespoon. Like I said, ginger makes it very spicy. I used pimento. These are not edible. You can use just regular allspice, but I like these. They have bigger flavor, in my opinion. I used about a teaspoon of that. I don't know the difference between red pepper and hot peppers, so I used probably the tip of a teaspoon. And again, add more if you like it spicy. About a tablespoon of garlic powder and a tablespoon of brown sugar. What else am I forgetting? I mentioned the salt. Oh, probably the curry powder. This is the one that I use because it's like the true stuff, but everybody has an opinion on which curry powder is the best. Use whatever you want. I used a tablespoon again. Some people like it more curry tasting, and then I used a teaspoon of thyme. Again, use the real deal. You can grow thyme in your windowsill, so don't start on me that you don't have room for a garden and all that. You can grow herbs. You should have a little herb garden in your window. And so this has been stewing for, and add a bouillon cube. The Knorr ones are the best in my opinion. I didn't add any water. Why? Because there's enough water in there. And let's just take a little taste. So I put it on, what did I cook it at? Low and slow instead of high and dry. That's how I roll. And I like my chicken well done, okay? So, you do what works for you. Some people add coconut milk. Oh, I added a tablespoon of ketchup. Some people add fresh tomato, tomato paste, whatever. In the Caribbean, they don't have access to a lot of that stuff, so guess what they use? Plain old ketchup. That is good enough. Instead of coconut milk, you can just use regular milk, or you could use a little bit of yogurt. So I'm going to try it. I can't show you my face, but perfect. It's not dry. You could brown it off. Some people like a good brown on it, but this is more of a stew than anything else. And you could add peas in it, You could add some okra. You could add rice. Well, I got the rice there. Sorry, potatoes. Dice up some potatoes. What did I put it on? 3? I put it on 3 for a good, at least a half an hour. So, you know, this is just a hunky-dory recipe. Everybody can add their own, whatever, their own take on it. You know, you don't have to go by my thing. This is just easy for me. And doesn't require, you know, if you don't have time to brown it off and all that stuff, just throw everything in the pot. Mix in your chicken and that'll be good enough. So anyways, I'm about to start my day. So love yous all. Be good. It looks nice anyways. And my son can have that before work. Have a good day, y'all. Bye.